Hey y'all, welcome to Veggie Farming. I'm Stacy. Today I'm going to show you my whole process of planting onions from planting to harvesting. So part of this video will be a flashback in time to November of last year when I actually planted these onions into my garden bed. And I'll end the video with showing you my final harvest and the curing process. This is Mexican sunflower that I put through the wood chipper. And I'm going to use as fertilizer. You see what it looks like? It almost looks like foam. That was the inside of the Mexican sunflower. It's kind of hollow. This is some of my food composter. Some of the grinds from that. So I'm going to let that break down in there. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and mix all that together. And this is the same thing I did inside of my garden house beds before I planted them for the fall. And I think I've had pretty good results, even though I'm sure it hasn't started to break down yet. But it didn't really harm it as it was breaking down. So, and in that case, I did add a little bit of extra blood meal just in case it robs the soil of some of the nitrogen while it's breaking down. So I'm going to do that over here also. And actually what I'm using for nitrogen is this feather meal. All right, so let me get that covered up and then I'll do the section closest to me. This is what my onion plants look like when I planted them out. I started these plants indoors from seed back in the middle to end of August. I started with growing multiple plants in one container, and then when they were large enough, I separated them into individual seed cells so that they could grow larger and I wouldn't have to worry about separating them when I was ready to plant them out. As you can see, I planned the spacing, but then I had more plants left over, so I started packing them in. And I think when I show my results, you'll see the outcome of possibly planting them too close together. And you can see this is how it looks when they're all planted up and mulched in. This is where I had most of my onions planted. I may have had them a little too close together, and you can see all the weeds the squirrels got in here and started planting nuts. But I'm gonna get these pulled up. You can see how these are almost completely rotted out, the stems. So they definitely are as large as they're gonna get. So I'm gonna get these pulled out so I can start using this bed for something else. None of these are huge, but they are usable size for sure. And I mean, I started these from seed, so a seed to a usable onion, I'm gonna call it a win. So I'm still perfecting my technique, but for now I do have some onions to harvest, so I am satisfied with this. These are about 1 serving size onions, some of them, the largest ones. And then the smaller ones, I'll just use multiple. You can see, I don't know whether this is like powdery mildew or what all on these stems, but they aren't looking healthy anymore and they've fallen over. So I would say that these have all grown as much as they're gonna grow. I'm definitely satisfied with using this bed for onions, especially through the winter. Nothing really wanted to eat it. Bugs didn't bother it. So I will use this again. I'm gonna try different techniques probably. But yeah, I have onions, so this is good for me. That was my goal, to get onions. And I have onions, so I'm gonna have to really get deep in here. So I'm gonna get deep in here. It's gonna involve a lot of maneuvering, and I'll come back and show you what I ended up with after I harvested everything. This is where I am right now. These are my two largest. Looks like they were kind of over in a different area by themselves. I'm gonna take that into account when I plant next year. All right, so let me get in here and get these out, and I'll bring y'all back.
The mindset for success. We are creating the journey. We are creating the journey.
So this is my final onion harvest. And you can see I have onions of all sizes. I have some larger ones and then some little tiny ones here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all these old powdery mildew looking greens off of it. I have some of these that don't even have any green on the top, so I don't think it's going to hurt them too much. I'm just probably going to cut them back to about right there, which is just going to make it easier for me to set them to the side to cure. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, but like I said, I am not an expert onion grower, so this is what I'm doing. I'm not telling you to do it. I don't want you to follow me and ruin your whole harvest. So like I said, I'm going to cut these top greens off. And then lay them flat. Give them some time to dry out. I'll come back and show you once I get them all cut back and ready to store. So the onions are all harvested and cut back, so let me show them to you. And this is what they look like. They are in these open bottom trays. Let me show you what that is. That's just these open bottom trays. I got these from the nursery for free, so they'll be getting plenty of airflow. And I just have them right over here under this Veggie garden potting station. So right here, they'll be getting shade and they'll be getting airflow, which is what they need to cure. So this is my onion harvest for the year, and you can see they're all different sizes. These are some of the largest ones in the back, but then plenty of mid-size and tiny ones. But that is my onion harvest. And if you're interested in this Veggie garden potting station or this Veggie garden sink station, I do have a coupon code for that. So hopefully this will be the perfect setup for me to cure these onions. And I just tried not to overlap them, so each one of them should have their own space. That's why I wanted to cut back the stems so that they wouldn't be overcrowded and they would be able to get the airflow that they needed. Trying to make sure I put them on the side. So now that my onions are cured, I'm keeping them in this little mesh netting. You can see it's called a 10-pound mesh netting. I bought this from Dixondale Farms one year, and this is how I'm keeping them. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. If you did, or if you have a different way of growing onions, drop it down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Happy growing.